Here are some hoopty-doodle hacks for motorcycle wiring.
I've got the battery hooked up again, got it hooked up to the little battery tender, battery charger. Then I've got, from the battery, I've got connected a ground. The main ground goes up to this guy right here, this little circle connector there. And then I've got the positive going to my main fuse here, which is the same way it would normally be set up, with the positive terminal on the battery going to the main fuse. I've got it connected that way. And so that should ground the whole thing. There's basically one ground for the whole bike for the most part. And then the battery would normally just ground to the frame down here. Now what I'm doing is going back up here, and we're looking at all these little connections for the speedometer. If I hook up this guy to the power, and I hook up there's also a ground coming from the new speedometer, this guy here. If I hook that guy into the ground, I can actually turn the speedometer on. All right, so I'm totally a hands-on sort of visual guy, and so as I'm going along here, I like to see how the wires are lining up, and if I have a question on which wire does what, like on this brake light running light thing combo I've got here, there's 3 wires. One of them clearly is the ground, but there are 2 other ones. One of them's a running light, one of them's a brake light. But which is which? And does it matter? Is there a difference? And so to figure that out, I've got my battery here hooked up, and I go ahead and hook up my negative and my positive cable, little alligator clamps. So here's my negative. I can go ahead and hook this guy up, clip it onto the ground there, and then now I've got the positive here, and I can individually, there we go. So now I can go ahead and touch the one wire. This is the red one, and now I can touch the yellow one. And to me, they look like they're the same brightness. So if I clamp it onto the yellow one and then touch the red one to it as well, then it gets brighter. And so brake, running light, brake, running light. That's how I'm going to wire it in. Alright, so something I found to be very useful in wiring up this 1982 Honda Goldwing is these 2 kits. Now these are just like multi-wire connection kits. So what I've got here is a 6.3 millimeter connector kit and a 2.8 millimeter connector kit. This is the smaller wire kit, and this is sort of a bigger wire, sort of medium wire kit that you kind of is more common possibly. Although on the bike I ended up using this one more often. And it was just mainly because a lot of my new wiring was LED wires, and those are very small wires that those typically come with. What it comes with is a variety of sizes. This is a 2-wire connector right here. This one has got 3 wires in it, 4, then you've got 6, and this one here, which is 9. So a variety of different possible wire combinations, and you don't have to use all of these available spaces. If you've got one that has 7 or 8, you can just use 8 of these spaces. And I found there's a lot on the stock bike that it would oftentimes you'd have one, a 4-wire connector only had 3 wires in it. So that's not uncommon, and that's totally okay. And basically the way these work, it comes with 2 halves. They both have 2-wire connections in there, and they go together. They're designed to fit together. So, and they click together like that, and then they sort of lock in. And then you depress this guy here, and then you can disconnect it. These are really handy, I found, for wiring in something that I thought I might need to replace. Signal indicator relay, something like that. I could wire it in using these, and then if I ever needed to replace that part in the future, I could easily just disconnect it and wire in a new one and then reconnect it. This kit also comes with a female connector, this guy, and a male connector right here. And so these are designed to go together like so. They're also designed in such a way that you can see on this guy, you can hopefully see on this guy there is a little barb on the bottom of it. On this guy, there's also a barb. You might be able to see that one a little bit better. That barb is there for a reason, because that's designed to go into here and keep it from coming out. That barb keeps the connector from backing out of the little connector housing here. You can see down in there, that shape, how there's a big block on the bottom and a little block on top. And so the barb goes on the top part there. That's how you orient this guy when you put it in. So the little block is on top here. We turn it like that. We've got the barb on top, and that then slides in like so, and you push it in and it clicks in, and then it doesn't come out. And so as an example, I'll connect one of these guys onto this spare piece of wire here, and then we'll connect it into that connector to show you how it works. That segues into another thing that was very handy, which are these pliers right here. And I'll put a link in the description of this video so that you can find these for yourself. I highly recommend them if you're doing any kind of automotive electrical wiring. All right, so these guys are great because they have these automatic wire strippers on top here. You don't have to find the right size or right gauge of wire. And this automatically will adjust to the gauge of wire that you put in there and strip it for you. So, and it also has this little backer here that you can adjust this in or out to how much rubber insulation that you want to strip off the wire. So for example, this guy, I don't want to strip off too much, so I can put it in here like that. And then I just squeeze the pliers, it automatically grips it and pulls the little rubber insulation off. And so now we're ready to put this guy on here. So I've got my wire stripped, put it in here, and you can see on this guy there is a longer part sort of down in the bottom here, and that part is supposed to wrap around the insulation part, and there's a shorter part there, and that is the part that grips the actual copper wire part here. So I'm going to line this up so the copper wire part is in that top section there, and then I'm going to crimp it on here. And this is also great for crimping. You can see in here there's this section, there's a couple of different sections here, and this section right here I use for these connectors, where it automatically, if I orient this guy like that, so that the open section is pointed towards us, I'm going to now rotate it so it's pointing down, and then put it in here so that the open section is in this little curved part there, and we have the spike on the back side of it. Then I can put it in here and pinch this, and it will automatically, so it gives me a very clean, very professional connection. And then we can do the same for the one on the bottom, and that will help hold it on and give it more strength. The same thing, orient this guy like that, put it in here, squeeze it, and automatically we've got professional grade automatically. So now we've got a connection on here. It's nice and strong, and now we can go ahead and put it into our little housing here. And so this guy, again, you can see how the top part has the little indent to it. The smaller sort of block is on top, and this goes in like so. I'm going to rotate it. I'll rotate it so that barb will fit into that smaller block on the top there, like that. And then barb goes in, and you can almost hear that click, and now it's locked in there. That's how you do that one. And then you do the same thing on the other side, the male connector, your other wire that's going to connect into here, and then that one slides into the opposing housing like this, and these guys will connect together like that automatically for you. Makes it real nice and neat and professional. And another thing I found very useful in my wiring was this tool set here. And so these guys are a little tool set that is designed to remove the connectors from this connector housing. And this set is a full set of stuff for all different types of wire connectors. And the ones I use for this housing are the flat ones like this guy. And there's a few different sizes of these. You can see all these guys, basically the same thing, just slightly different here and there. So the way these are designed to work is you want to find the size that will fit into that little box on the top there that slides back and makes connection with the barb, depresses that barb, and then allows you to pull that wire back out. Push that guy in and pull the wire straight out. And I found that very handy on some of the old stock wiring. So you can do the same thing with older connectors on the actual bike to reroute wires or change out just one wire if that's what you want. And I found these to be a little bit more finicky than the new one, probably because there's dirt and grime and just time has made these things a little bit more difficult. So, but you can get it in there and wiggle this thing around, and sometimes you gotta take the wire and push it up into there a little bit more, and then you have to angle this guy a little bit to try and put more pressure on that barb, but you can eventually get them out. Another thing I found very useful on this build are these old vintage, I believe it's Japanese specific style bullet connectors. These are ones that you find on the bike stock. I'm gonna take them out so you can see them better. So these are ones that you find on the bike stock. They are kind of neat design, and they're ones you find basically on the turn signals. At least on my bike, these were pretty exclusively on the turn signals, and for the reason being that you've got a female connector here, you've got a wire connection coming in there, and then you've got room for 1, 2, 3 bullet connections to go onto this guy. So it's a pretty neat idea, and the bullet connections are right here. So this guy slides in there like your typical bullet connection. And this would also have a little clear insulator that went around this section right here, but allowed for other wires to come in at the different angles. Neat design, I think, but these, one thing I found that I didn't expect on these is that they are different size. These are 3.5 millimeter bullet connectors. And the ones you're going to typically find at your auto parts store are going to be 4 millimeter bullet connectors. So you can see that these guys are a different size. So that's something to be aware of. You can't just go to your auto parts store and grab some bullet connectors that are going to work on your stock bike. You got to special order these things.